Today we're talking about how to get some fire back in your routine. I'm going to show you 3 things that can help get rid of the boredom in your life and make your day a whole lot better. Welcome to the channel. If we haven't met yet, my name is Andrew. For nearly 30 years, I've had the privilege of helping people from all walks of life, training them, mentoring them, and that's what this channel is all about, helping men to become the best that they can become. Let's go to today's episode now. If you managed to watch the previous episode, we talked about the subject of health and fitness and why that's so powerful to give our mental health a boost. Well, today we've got another brand new episode. You might have joined this one or another one. If you didn't get to watch all of them in the correct sequence, the links are in the description below and you can catch up in that way. But in today's episode, we're talking about routine fire. In other words, getting some passion, getting some momentum back in your routine. Anybody who has been alive for any period of time will understand the truth that much of our life is mundane. So much boredom, so much boring stuff takes place in our routine. This is normal. This is not something that we can really fight with or argue about. It's just part of the journey of life. And we go through routines that are repetitive. We unstack the dishwasher only to have to restack it again the next night and then unstack it so we can restack it. And we go through the cooking process and we cook and we clean and we cook and we clean and this is how life goes. That much of our life's routine is mundane and it's boring, but it's up to us to find ways to not just have our routine dominating our energy levels, but rather to find ways to get some fire and some energy and some passion back into our daily routine. Why? Number one, so that we can be at our productive best, but also so that we can push away some of that heaviness, some of that darkness that does try to get on top of all of us men when we find ourselves living in like a Groundhog Day kind of experience. One day is the same as the next 100 days. That feeling is not good for anybody. And so I've got 3 practical tips of what you can do to get some fire back in your routine. Try and fight against that mundanity that's trying to sit on you like a wet blanket. And naturally, when that happens, our mental health goes downhill a little bit. We get a bit depressed, a bit discouraged, feeling a bit flat. We want to do what we can to allay those kinds of feelings and really be at our strong best. So here they come. 3 things that we can do to put some fire back in our routine, lift the level of our mental health. Number 1 is our wake up time. Now, I don't know if you're anything like me, but naturally, I am not an early riser. In fact, I spent many of my younger years staying up very late, watching movies, just not getting disciplined in the area of my sleep. But in recent times, like many of you already do, like some of you are getting ready to do, I have discovered the power of getting an earlier, more consistent wake-up time. You might have watched videos in the past about people who love to praise themselves that they're members of the 5 a.m. club. Well, good on them, I'm happy for that. It's not really about whether you get up at 5 a.m. or 5:30 or 6, or pick the time that works for you. The point really is get that day underway, because the second point, which I'm about to share in a moment, is so crucial to us getting that early wake time nailed. In a previous episode in this series, we talked about sleep hygiene. And the idea of sleep hygiene being that we try to go to bed at pretty well the same time. And we try to get up at pretty well the same time. And we allow our body to get into these natural circadian rhythms that allow us to set the agenda for our day. Well, if we can get that earlier wake time nailed, where we're starting to get up at a productive early stage to get ahead of our day, get on top of the day, that affords us the opportunity for a shot. An opportunity at the second point. And that second point is deep work. I would urge you to go for a bit of a search around YouTube, get online on Google, find some articles, and really start to unpack and discover what is meant by deep work. It's a phrase that's become popular in the last several years, and it's talking about this idea that if we can learn to restructure our day as much as it's in our own power to do and put the most important tasks early in our day, which becomes possible if we've gotten out of bed at a good time, putting that deep work in, the macro tasks, the bigger creative ideas, the things that require the best of our focus and the best of our energy. What is being proven scientifically now is that when we commit to deep work, we can actually find ourselves more productive, more fruitful, and enjoying our work more in 4 to 5, maybe 6 hours of deep work in the front half of the day, rather than having 8 to 10 hours of loose work that bounces around from all kinds of mixed tasks that are not really related, where we bounce from big task to small task to that task we've been procrastinating about. Deep work can become the intervention that gets our productivity flowing, helps us to re-engage with our creativity, and very, very importantly, can actually help to boost our enjoyment level of our work output and give us that sense of momentum in our headspace that we're being productive and we're doing well. Deep work, I urge you to get amongst it and try it for yourself. The third one is a really broad subject that probably warrants its own episode of a longer form sometime in the future, and we might do that. But I want to encourage you to engage in some form of prayer and meditation. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you should and shouldn't believe. That's not my assignment in this channel. What I'm simply encouraging you to do is to understand that there is a power in prayer and meditation. Now, whether you're a person who believes in a higher being and you would describe yourself as being religious or having a spiritual faith, or whether you don't, that's completely up to you and not really my business. But what I am saying is, by my own experience, I have discovered that the power of personal prayer and starting our day with committing ourselves to devotion and a routine of spirituality, and even if you don't feel like you're a spiritual person, you can still begin to tiptoe into these waters by practicing simple things like solitude and silence. Why would we do that? Well, it allows us to extract ourselves from the hyper busyness of our routine, where we just feel like machines that are constantly outputting. One of the greatest things that solitude and silence can do for every man is it allows us to take a half a step back from constantly being in producer mode. This is one of the main reasons why I'm urging you guys to contemplate or continue in the practice of prayer and meditation. If we can learn that as men, we actually were not meant to be in producer mode 24/7, 365. It's not good for our souls. It's not good for our headspace. Just like the ground, the very soil itself cannot keep on producing plant life without a rest. It requires some downtime. It needs to be allowed to lie alone without having seeds and water and nutrients. Every farmer in the world knows that if you keep on putting seed and crops into the same field season after season after season, eventually that field's capacity to produce good results will diminish exponentially. We are the same as men in our souls, that if we keep on placing a heavyweight burden on ourselves to produce day and night and day, eventually the quality and the volume of our production is going to diminish and our headspace is going to be severely impacted. So for you, whether it's solitude and silence, whether it's actual spiritual prayer, whether it's some form of meditation, I'm urging you to take some exploratory steps in that direction, extract yourself from the hyper busyness, give yourself an opportunity to get out of producer mode and just see what kind of creativity and energy and joy of life can return to your soul. These 3 practicals can put some fire back in your routine, help you to push the mundanity away from you and regain some control in that arena. And I'm certain that if you practice these things, your mental health will be boosted in a positive way. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'd love you to do that. I would absolutely love it if you leave a comment or a question or a suggestion. We're not quite done in this series yet on the subject of mental health for middle-aged men. We do have another episode to come, and I'd love you to hang around for that one as well. We're going to be dealing with the hyper-important subject of healing fatherlessness. You're going to want to see that one. As I said, subscribe, comment, do all those things. I'm so glad that you're here, and I will see you in the next episode.